Space Shot Series 3 collector's cards and discounts on entire card sets. Allies and their families also enjoy special discounts at U.S. Space Camp, where you can experience the adventures of space. To charge your membership, call 1-800-672-5800. To pay by check, write to this address for an application.
The monolith appeared 4 times in 2001: A Space Odyssey. It'll be back for a 5th time on Sci-Fi Buzz. The landmark sci-fi film 2001: A Space Odyssey is a quarter-century old this month. We'll take a look back. Why does director George Romero love zombies? We'll find out from film's King of the Zombies. Fantasy writer Tad Williams pulls home viewers right into the television with a new concept in interactive technology. Harlan Ellison remembers an old friend, Isaac Asimov. And Space 1999 fans from across the pond join creator Jerry Anderson as they pay tribute to their version of Star Trek.
I got hooked from the very first time I saw it.
Oh, hi. Mike Jarek here for Sci-Fi Buzz, a show that's evolving into something wonderful, thanks to the influence of this cheesy knockoff of one of the great science fiction icons, the monolith from 2001: A Space Odyssey. Now, do you remember about a month ago when we cut cake in honor of the 25th anniversary of Planet of the Apes? Guess what, folks? 2001 is also 25 years old. So this time we celebrate one of the most mentally stimulating science fiction films of all time.
Dave. Stop. Stop, will you?
2001: A Space Odyssey is something of a one-of-a-kind paradox in the entire history of movie making. Almost anyone remotely in touch with pop culture can tell you scene for scene what happens in the movie, but almost no one can tell you what the movie is about. Whether you are part of the smug 1% that can cleanly dissect this tale of evolution, kickstarted by a godlike race of aliens, or not, you might want to check out the Criterion Laserdisc version of 2001. Not only will you see and hear the film in crystal detail, you will have access to a wealth of background material about the making and meaning of this enigmatic classic.
And what we are doing in the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey is showing some of the things that will develop in the world of the future as a result of our present first steps into space.
Author Arthur C. Clarke appears in archival footage shot during the making of 2001. There is also interesting behind-the-scenes footage, like this 38-ton spinning soundstage that director Stanley Kubrick used to create eye-popping action like this. The behind-the-scenes footage and photos also document the meticulous scientific research conducted over a 4-year period to produce the most accurate attempt ever at representing the science of space exploration.
These memory packs around the rear of the helmet are activated by an ARM unit, which has been developed for us with the assistance of IBM.
If you are not familiar with the storage capabilities of Laserdisc technology, you might think these are effects from the film. In reality, these are articles, production designs, and research materials related to 2001. The compressed information is viewed video page by video page. There's even enough room on the disc to include The Sentinel, Arthur C. Clarke's short story written back in 1948 that the film is based on.
Call it the Stargate. For 3 million years, it had circled Saturn, waiting for a moment of destiny that might never come.
In your quest for meaning, you can have the author read to you, or you can see the author wax philosophical and sort of scoot around the meaning of 2001.
We want to convey the message that our Earth is perhaps not the only abode of life. Our sun, the sun that shines on this planet, is one of 100 billion circling in the Milky Way. How many of those shine upon our equals or our masters? out there in the depths of space? That's the question that 2001 asks and seeks to answer.
Of course, 2001 was followed on the screen in 1984 by 2010, a movie saddled with the task of explaining the original. Now, Arthur C. Clarke followed that with the novel 2010, and then what many people believe is the best book of all, 2061, and that revealed the new Holy Trinity. We had Hal, Dave, and a guy named Floyd. Well, you gotta read it.
This is Jeff Bateman from Portsmouth, Virginia. I've just finished playing Martian Memorandum for the IBM PC by Access Software. It's an interactive movie where you become Detective Tex Murphy, who follows a trail of murder and mystery from Earth to the planet Mars in the year 2039.
Just up the time stream, Zombie Meister George Romero. And later, a visit to Moonbase Alpha with the creator of Space 1999.
Creation, frustration, now's your chance. Take a toffee break. Have a hit, all work, no play, no way. Take a toffee break. Have a hit. Rich buttery toffee, smooth milk chocolate. Express yourself, share the wealth, have a heat. Take a toffee break. Better have a heat. Have a heat.
You are here. She has the traveler's checks here. That is a problem. Well, was. American Express traveler's checks for two. The only checks either of you can use. Don't leave home without them.
Together, they face the mission of a lifetime.
I have the bomb.
Stop the train.
Let's go.
Pierce Brosnan and Patrick Stewart in Alistair MacLean's Death Train on USA. Wednesday, April 14th.
You are watching Sci-Fi Buzz on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Does your long-distance company treat you just like everyone else? Well, now there's long-distance made for the way you call. The I plan, only from AT&T. I is for individual. Switch now to AT&T. Free. Call 1-800-982-0200. I just want a good deal, you're thinking. That's why AT&T prices are competitive, and our calling plans fit you, no matter who or where you call. I is for competitive. Switch now to AT&T. If you're not totally satisfied, we'll switch you back free. We have more people to help you, and you can access AT&T for most payphones without special codes. You get one bill, not two. Call 1-800-982-0200 to switch free. Every day, 13,000 people are switching to AT&T. I is for individual, only from AT&T.
Can you imagine being followed by a legion of stinking, drooling zombies? Oh, you pretty much have the picture of Payday around here. Back to work, you slackers. I tell you, the only guy who has a worse zombie problem than me is this man right here, George Romero. He's looking good. But his problem is, he needs to find a bank big enough to keep his zombie fortune.
Well, zombies have always been my favorite critters. They're my favorite monsters because they're sort of the blue-collar monsters. So they deserve a break.
His feature film credits are in the double digits now. He's directed dozens of sports documentaries and hundreds of commercials and industrial films. But George Romero is still best known as the unofficial ambassador of zombies everywhere.
The Walking Dead, I guess, is my definition of a zombie. I don't care what they do. I don't care whether they plant cotton or eat flesh or eat cars or eat cities. If they're walking and they're dead, they're zombies.
George's first film, Night of the Living Dead, was shot with a goal in mind.
Our only really conscious goal was to make a scary, movie, that would be a roller coaster ride. And maybe step a couple of inches to the left past where other people had gone, both in grit and in some of the graphic bloodletting.
The blood in this $114,000 black and white ode to Lazarus was actually chocolate syrup. The brain-munching gags were right out of a Boy Scout skit night. When the script called for open season on zombies, squibs, the tiny explosive patches that create gunshot effects, were out of the realm of experience of local special effects men. So stand-ins were enlisted from the local department store.
Some of the things that got shot were mannequins rather than squibs, because we were just really experimenting with squibs, and the guys that were doing them were fireworks guys from around Pittsburgh and didn't want to put squibs anywhere near people's ears or brains.
The original Night of the Living Dead was such a hit with the drive-in crowd that George was able to finance a slew of small pictures shot in his beloved Pittsburgh. One of the most popular of George's non-zombie films is Martin, about a young man who may or may not be a vampire.
I don't think he is a vampire. I think he's a psychotic. And that film is a realistic film. But that behavior is probably the most disturbing to me in terms of anything that's been in my film. If you knew that somebody, used a piece of your work and as a model as an MO for something that they were actually going out and doing, I think you'd retire.
George considers the gore in his zombie films cartoon-inspired and rooted in the traditions of slapstick.
You know, if Home Alone was a horror movie, all that slapstick stuff would be blood stuff. That's fans of it aren't disturbed by it. They, I think, have fun with it. They giggle with it. It's not realistic violence.
George's latest is The Dark Half. More on that next week. It features a pack of killer birds, but not a single zombie. George says he has a zombie spoof in the back of his mind, and that one day in the future, he may return to his first love, the rotting undead.
The zombies are, they're the schlubs of the monster world. I mean, they just are, they just go along with whatever.
My name is Kevin Hawkins, and I'd like to recommend The Legion of Superheroes and Legionnaires from DC Comics. They're both very good comic books that mix superheroics with science fiction, and I find them very enjoyable.
Tad Williams is one heavyweight fantasy writer. His latest book is To Green Angel Tower. Look at the size of this thing. I mean, you could stop bullets with this. Look how thick it is. Well, he's not only a high fantasy writer, he's also a high-tech inventor. And he has his own cable TV show in San Francisco that stars the home viewer.
We're out to change what the TV experience has been all about.
You're watching a type of TV program that author Tad Williams predicts will be very popular in the future. Interactive television. But first, the prolific writer was eager to discuss the third chapter in his Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy.
So you have a lot to say. Look at the size of this thing. Why so big?
My own particular metaphor is that I had let the sheep sort of wander far and wide, and they were over the hills and gone, and I had to get them all rounded back up again and get them back into the paddock for the end of the third book. And it really amuses me watching people walking around trying to carry it.
What particular challenges arise when you write fantasy?
Even though it's a make-believe world, a fantasy world, a science fiction world, you have to, in fact, have it be internally consistent, because that's what makes it hang together. Even if it's a place where people fly and cats swim, it has to feel as though that would really be true, and that's actually how it would work.
Now, virtual reality is pretty well connected with fantasy, isn't it?
Fantasy and virtual reality are obviously very linked, although we're still at an early stage of interactive multimedia technologies and virtual reality. I think a lot of the books of the future, sort of the fantasy books of the future, will in fact be movies of a sort in which the reader is not a reader but a participant, and they are in the action, and they are doing the things and seeing these wonderful vistas or these frightening things or whatever. So I think that they're very intimately interlinked.
Now, you must tell me about 21st century vaudeville.
It is a rather strange show. The premise is that it's a video jukebox, so we show lots of strange videotapes. But, in fact, what's going on is that it is hosted by what we call a digital puppet. whose name is M. Jack Steckel. And he and his family and friends are also characters, and they're all digital puppets. They're electronic images that talk and do things.
Jack, so good to talk with you again.
What makes our show particularly different is that people can call in and participate in real time on the show, and then they too are represented on screen by digital puppets, animated characters, lip-synced to their voices.
Virtual reality is not just a simulation. It's a whole other world, a new electric dimension.
Tad Williams believes interactive entertainment and virtual reality will soon come crashing out of television and movie screens and into the world around us. As recently explored in the innovative feature film The Lawnmower Man, the line between illusion and reality will virtually disappear.
It is inevitable. You can't run away from it any more than people in the 1940s could run away from television. And you know, television has now literally changed the planet. It's certainly had a lot to do with the changes, political changes that we've seen in the last 5 years all over the world. In the same way, virtual reality and interactive technologies are going to change the planet as well. So it would be nice if we could start thinking now about what's going to happen a few years up the line, and maybe we'll be a little more prepared for it.
Next, Harlan Ellison remembers Isaac Asimov.
Call me nuts, call me lazy. This kind of workout is just plain crazy. Don't fill me up with expectations. I got what I want, no imitation. Fall in. Just give me what the doctor ordered. Pepper. Just what the doctor ordered. Just give me a Dr. Pepper. We want it. Whoa. Just what the doctor ordered. The taste that's made to water. We love it. Woo. Whoa. Just what the doctor ordered.
What? Jason's gonna be there?
If you think your face is special, other people will too. So use Noxzema every time you wash. It's better than soap. Dissolves oil without over-drying for healthy-looking skin.
Your face belongs to Noxzema.
And here's a different kind of Noxzema, Noxzema Plus, with an added moisturizer plus a fresh scent for healthy-looking skin.
Your face belongs to Noxzema.
Hi, this is Michael Dorn, Lieutenant Worf from Star Trek The Next Generation. You are watching Sci-Fi Channel.
This is me, Vicki. Before I went on a diet and started using an Easy Glider, I lost 125 pounds. Here I am, 2 years later, still using my Easy Glider, and I haven't gained any of the weight back.
Easy Glider's not just for exercise anymore. This 20-minute workout gets you on your way to total fitness with cardiovascular conditioning, muscle toning, and yes, weight loss.
I watched what I ate, I drank a lot of water, I used my Easy Glider, and that's how I lost 59 pounds.
It's low impact and works both your upper and lower body. You can burn up to 300 calories per workout.
I tried jogging, playing racquetball, and even starving myself, but nothing lasted or made me feel as good as my Easy Glider.
And it folds flat for easy storage.
You get a lot of exercise for your money with an Easy Glider.
Call 1-800-652-4242. We'll bill your credit card 3 easy payments of $19.95 each. You get a full 60-day home trial with a money-back guarantee. Total price $59.85 plus $9 shipping and handling. Call 1-800-652-4242.
This is a picture that was taken a few years ago with me and my friend Isaac Asimov and his wife and now widow, Dr. Janet Jepson. Isaac was my pal for 40 years. We liked each other a lot. I was going to read you maybe. I thought, you know, I got a couple of letters from him talking about how much he likes my stories and telling me, don't argue with people, don't fight with people. I said, yeah, I'm a great one to tell that to. Isaac died last April. Isaac Asimov was one of the really great men of our time. And this may seem a strange time to do an obituary for him almost a year later, but in fact, not a day should go by that you don't hear the name Isaac Asimov, because he was very important to all of us. And I wrote an homage to him, an obituary to him that I'm not going to read you in its entirety, because I break up, and that's not very becoming on television. But since the Sci-Fi Channel, when it began, dedicated the channel to him, I thought I would read you this little bit that I had in the magazine of fantasy and science fiction, and it would help us to remember Isaac. Isaac was as much a part of this magazine through the years as paper and ink And though gone, he remains with us. As he remains with the uncounted thousands of young people who read his essays and stories and went into careers of scientific inquiry, who understood the physical universe because he made it graspable, who became better able to handle their lives because he refused to allow them to accept dogma and bigotry and mendacity in place of common sense and logic. For all of those among you who will mourn him in your own way, the most I have to offer, having been chosen to say goodbye to Isaac in this special venue that he called home for so long, is this one last anecdote of how he viewed himself in his imminent passage. Janet was with him at the end, of course, and his daughter Robin. Janet told me the day before he died that toward the end Isaac had trouble speaking. He could only manage a word or two, and from time to time, then he would say, "I love you," to Janet, and he would smile. But every once in a while, he would murmur, "I want," and he never finished the sentence, just, "I want." And Janet would try to perceive what he needed, and she would say, "A drink of water, Isaac, or something to eat?" And Isaac would look dismayed, annoyed, chagrined that he couldn't put the sentence together, this great thinking machine that at the end could not put a sentence together. And after a moment, he'd let it slide, and he'd forget that he had even spoken. Until the last came on the Sunday before he went back into the hospital for the last visit, when he managed to say very clearly, I want Isaac Asimov." And Janet told him he was Isaac Asimov, that he had always been Isaac Asimov, but he looked troubled, because that wasn't what he meant. And then Janet remembered that Isaac had told her some time ago, before he began to slip into abstraction and silence, that if there ever came a time when he didn't know who he was, if there came a time when his mind was not sharp, that he wanted to be let go to sleep quietly, that extraordinary measures should not be taken. And Janet understood that he was saying that he wanted to be Isaac Asimov again. He wanted to be what he was. He wanted to be Isaac Asimov. Then, in that final week before 2:30 a.m. New York time on Monday, April 6th, he was holding Janet's hand, and he looked up at her and he said, very clearly, the last he would ever say, he said, "I am Isaac Asimov." Yes, he was. Yes, indeed he was.
January, he was Mr. Right. February, Mr. Wrong. March, he's back. There's only one calling plan that adjusts with you. Off again, on again, never again. It's the most from Sprint. The most saves you on whomever you call the most each month. Even when it changes, it's automatic. Could be the easiest part of your relationship.
Did you know that stress and certain vitamin deficiencies can cause hair loss, and that researchers are growing hair in a test tube? When you call Hair Club for Men, we'll send you this information along with Hair Club's own advances in dealing with hair loss.
I wanted something that looked very natural and also looked very natural when I was skiing and when my hair was very wet.
It made me feel old to be going thin at 24.
Hair Club's innovative techniques in dealing with hair loss will give you the confidence you've always wanted.
I did not ask to lose my hair. And for a long period of time, I thought that I would have no choice. And with Hair Club, I do have that choice.
No matter what sport or activity, your new hair will look and feel like your own.
Now that I have a full head of hair, people that haven't seen me in a while, they don't even know I had anything done. It's like totally natural to them.
So call Hair Club for Men and receive our free brochure, along with some tips that may help you keep the hair you have.
I'm not only the Hair Club president, but I'm also a client.
Coming up on the Sci-Fi Channel.
You are watching Sci-Fi Buzz on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Inventions. Even the simplest ideas can become products we use every day. If you have an idea, call the Inventors Helpline in Washington, D.C. at 800-227-7000. You'll receive free confidential forms and useful information describing the invention process. And when you call right now, you'll also receive a free brochure which tells you how to begin developing your new idea. So get the ball rolling. Pick up your phone right now and call for your free Inventor's Kit.
Call 800-227-7000.
Want to know what's coming up on the Sci-Fi Channel?
Call 1-900-773-SFCS for a current schedule, including series episodes and movie descriptions. Call costs 95 cents per minute. Average call is 2 minutes.
Oh, staff, what is the deal with this phone bill here? Who's been calling England? Dave Garrison, you've got guilt written all over your face. So what's the deal? You've been calling England to talk to Lady Di or something?
Strictly business, Mike. You know, Space 1999, very popular program on the Sci-Fi
Yes.
Channel. Well, the creator, he's in England. The fans, in England. You know, when the story's in England, Sci-Fi Buzz goes to England.
Attention all moon-based personnel. We are faced with the enormous risk of blasting the moon out of its present collision course.
Though only 2 seasons of Space 1999 were produced, the series still attracts a devoted following 17 years after it was canceled. Here in America, the show has not yet generated any intense nostalgia, but in England, Space 1999 has achieved a cult status rivaling that of Star Trek. And it's hard to deny that in the areas of visual effects and design, Space 1999 clearly outshone the original Star Trek series. In Britain, Space 1999 fans honor the series with conventions where they view favorite episodes, admire models used in special effects work, and meet some of those who helped create the series.
I got hooked from the very first time I saw it. I'd been a fan follower, if you like, for a number of years.
I remember sort of enjoying the series when it was first on, but it was quite a few sort of years ago. When I first saw it, so I wanted to come to the convention to actually sort of see some of the episodes again.
And you're saying medically the risk is unacceptable?
The risk is great. The decision, of course, is yours.
The series was produced in England, but it featured American stars Martin Landau and Barbara Bain to appeal to the American TV audience. Today, many fans believe that Space 1999 was mucked up in its second season when the American distributors insisted that the program be modified to increase its appeal in the U.S.
I liked the first series more than the second. In the second series, they tried to make the characters more human, but I found it too American, and I didn't really like it as much as the first.
In season 2, I felt there was a bit too much of the monster element.
The show's co-creator, Jerry Anderson, has horror stories about a U.S. distribution exec. He recalls how the man would fly back to England every couple of weeks with nifty ideas on how to improve the show.
And on this particular occasion, he came back and he said, I've got to tell you that I'm very disappointed because you haven't got any monsters. And I said, no. He said, well, in America at the moment, monsters are the rage.
Jerry Anderson and fans of his series are particularly vocal about what happened to the show's stories in the second season. Creative control of the scripts was turned over to an American who had been head writer on Star Trek.
I remember one morning, he came in and said, I've got this great idea about talking plants, you know. And I thought maybe I should send for the men in the white coats.
The meddling by the Americans backfired. The series lost ratings both in England and America, and it got the axe. However, the glory of the first season still fires the imaginations of British fans. And now Americans have an opportunity to see what all the fuss is about. Space 1999 has been resurrected in the States here on the Sci-Fi Channel. If the series stirs up as much enthusiasm here as it has in England, we might someday see a Space 1999 movie or a new series. Let's just hope the guys in the suits don't mess it up next time. So Dave, just cut down on the long-distance phone calls, okay? Thank you very much. Smile. Speaking of phone calls, feel free to call us here at Sci-Fi Buzz anytime you want, 24 hours a day, 213-851-7235, and give us your news and reviews, well, anything about science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Now, we don't accept collect phone calls. Of course, Dave might accept collect phone calls. He has been known to do so, even obscene ones. Next week, it's being billed as the largest, wildest, and greatest Star Trek convention ever held. It's the Star Trek Grand Slam, and the buzz will be there. Also, Stan Lee and the history of the X-Men. And special effects man Bob Burns recalls working for the movie gimmick king William Castle.
To the Buzzmobile, gang. It's time to disconnect the buzz.